Hello there. We have two widely differing items in the programme tonight. In the second half, we'll be talking about furniture restoration. But to begin with, television drama. You may think immediately of The Villagers, but of course we do other things too. And you may remember that our first drama production ever transmitted was Carmen, which, as you perhaps know, has been sold in several countries overseas.
I used to hate carpentry at school. There was a teacher who used to walk around rapping our knuckles with a stick if we did something the wrong way.
Soon after the explosion, our reporter spoke to a few of the injured in the outpatients ward.
All of a sudden, everything just went black and pieces of glass came flying at us. And I just put my head down and hoped for the best.
Where were you at the time of the explosion?
In my office at Commercial Airways, at the lower level where I work.
Well, we were standing on our stand-in. There was just an explosion.
This tremendous explosion, and I was flung to the ground.
Investigations into the murder of the Springs parliamentary candidate and his wife, Jean, took on a new aspect today. Police announced that they were looking for a Mr. McDougall. The Prime Minister, Mr. Forster, has condemned what he describes as attempts to bedevil relations between the various language and population groups in the country. In a statement to the press today, Mr. Forster said this was a luxury South Africa could not afford. Mr. Botha said he told General Dayan that there were no hard feelings towards Jews in South Africa or towards Israel itself. The government deplored the recent press statements. An influential American professor says that in spite of the campaign being waged in the US against South Africa, he doesn't expect economic relations between the two countries to deteriorate.
The Americans feel a very close sense of community with South Africa.
Egypt's ruling Arab Socialist Party has decided to invite Palestinian leaders on the west bank of the Jordan River and in Israel to Cairo to discuss the outcome of President Sadat's recent Jerusalem visit. The move follows reports that Egypt has gained the support of Saudi Arabia, the strongest financial power in the Middle East, for its decision to deal directly with Israel. From the inquest into the death of Mr. Steve Biko, Cliff Saunders reports that
Brigadier Coetzee was in the witness box when Mr. van Rooyen launched his objection. Mr. van Rooyen maintains that counsel for the Biko family, Mr. Kentridge, is trying to introduce hearsay evidence in attacking the credibility of Colonel Goosen. Before the two brigadiers can be called as witnesses, it must be shown that there are inconsistencies between the affidavits and the evidence of Colonel Goosen. He challenged Mr. Kentridge to show such inconsistencies. Mr. van Rooyen said this was the third time Mr. Kentridge had tried to introduce through the back door that which he could not get through the front. The affidavit and evidence submitted by the chief state pathologist was involved, but simply put, Professor Loubser confirmed that Mr. Biko had died of extensive brain injury of the contre-coup type. Mr. Kentridge said he wanted to suggest that the brain lesions were inflicted by 3 or 4 blows. Professor Loubser said that he could not make definite deductions on the number of blows, although he personally felt that the brain lesions could be explained by a single force application or blow over a broad base. Professor Loubser said he could agree only in abstract that the head injuries had been caused by blows from a fist.
Southern Africa's travel queen for 1977 was chosen from 9 finalists at an open-air luncheon in Johannesburg today. She is Catherine Castell, who wins a trip to Greece, Malawi, Southwest Africa and the Victoria Falls.
A wonderful girl with a wonderful... What a way to start a race.
Catherine's 2 princesses are Patricia Heine and Sally Boerichter. Compere at today's crowning was television personality Adrian Steed. While Air France and British Airways executives acclaimed Tuesday's inauguration of Concorde flights into New York, several hundred people demonstrated against the supersonic jets at Kennedy Airport. One of the leaders of the demonstration put it to a UPI reporter. The fight was still on.
No, we haven't lost. We never lose. The American people will never lose because the American people have been fighters all their lives.
But despite the opposition, Europe was suddenly 4 hours closer to New York as Air France made the first historic landing of a supersonic commercial flight at Kennedy Airport. Supersonic transport for fare-paying passengers had at last arrived at New York.
And that brings us to the end of this news transmission.
The Reverend Bill Price conducts our epilogue tonight. From all of us here, good night.
Good evening. To enjoy it, savor it, linger over it. Select Viceroy, the brandy of matchless maturity. Viceroy.